D23, the Ultimate Disney Fan Event, has come and gone, and for theme park fans, it was a big weekend. Disney shared several updates and announcements for its various park projects around the world, and yes, there were even some surprises. Hello everyone, it's Ashley, and welcome to Theme Park Decoder. I just got back from D23 in California. It was a lot of fun being there, but it was also really exhausting. There was so much going on this past weekend, but it was an exciting one for theme park fans because, as I said in my intro, Disney shared a ton of updates and announcements for its park projects. And so for this video, I'm going to be breaking down what exactly Disney shared, what they announced for their park projects around the world. Now, I'll have more theme park coverage in the weeks and months ahead. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you'll know when a new video is posted. Now, before we dive into what was announced, let's first briefly talk about the presentation itself. Neil Patrick Harris hosted the presentation, and he was basically guiding us through different parks as the announcements were made. And this setup was very different from how Disney has done this presentation in the past. This was set up very much like a variety show, complete with musical numbers and sketches that riffed on Disney attractions.
It starts 24 hours a day. I am very rum. Gold. Women. Gold.
And like I said, it was a very different sort of setup. It was nice to see Neil Patrick Harris, who is a Disney Parks fan himself, on stage singing and dancing, and he seemed to be having a lot of fun. And there were cameos from different celebrities who were also very much Disney Parks fans. They appeared on stage, like John Stamos. But yeah, it was a very interesting way to move from one announcement to the next, to take us from one park to the next. And for the most part, I think it worked. All right, so let's dive into the announcements, and we're going to start really quickly with the international parks, just because not a ton of details came out in this section. Hong Kong Disneyland is getting a new Avengers Drop Tower attraction, and we got new artwork for that. Over at Shanghai Disneyland, we got a new look at the Spider-Man coaster that's currently under construction. And then over at Tokyo Disneyland, they're getting a new Space Mountain attraction. It's called Space Mountain Earthrise, and we got a look at the new launch for that attraction. Speaking of Space Mountain, we're going to switch over to Disneyland Paris. Hyperspace Mountain is going to close, and the classic Space Mountain attraction theme is going to return along with the original music. And then over at Disney Adventure World, again still at Disneyland Paris, we got new details about the Lion King attraction that's coming to the park. We got some new concept art showing an overview of this land where the attraction is going to be. And then we also learned some new details about the actual attraction. So this one is going to be a retelling of the animated movie. So it's going to follow Simba from cub to king, and it's even going to feature a finale that has a showdown between Scar and Simba. And they released concept art showing that finale scene with Scar and Simba. Now, moving over to Disneyland Resort in California, got some updates about some of the projects that are coming to Disney California Adventure. First off, we're going to talk about Coco. We learned that the ride is going to feature elements from the first movie as well as the upcoming Coco 2. So we learned some new details about Coco 2 during the entertainment showcase the day before, and they shared some concept art showing, an older Miguel and also the return of Ernesto de la Cruz. So we learned on Saturday night that some of those elements from the new Coco movie are going to be incorporated into the ride. So they didn't explain exactly how those elements are going to be incorporated together, but that the Imagineers are working with the team at Pixar to incorporate those different elements. We also learned that the storyline for this attraction is going to pick up a year after the events of the first movie. And so the queue is going to take us through a museum that is dedicated to Miguel's great-great-grandfather, Hector Rivera. And we've got some concept art showing a statue of Hector Rivera in the queue in this museum. And then from there, riders will get on a boat and they'll join Miguel through his memories of the land of the dead. We also learned a few new details about the Avengers attractions that are coming to Disney California Adventure. The first being Avengers Infinity Defense. Disney shared some footage showing some of the large set pieces that will be part of that attraction. They also shared new concept art of the pre-show area, and it features Ms. Marvel, who is there to brief riders before their mission to take on King Thanos. We also got new artwork for Stark Flight Lab. This is the other attraction coming to Avengers Campus. It revealed that Tony Stark, Sam Wilson's Captain America, and Captain Marvel, played by Brie Larson, will be the flight instructors for this attraction. The other thing we learned is the opening timeline for these attractions. Disney said that the expanded Avengers Campus is going to open in 2028, which is a lot later than I think a lot of people were anticipating. And I'm saying that based on the reaction that the crowd had when Disney made the announcement that these were opening in 2028, because the crowd was basically like, oh. Now we're switching gears and going to talk about Disney World. And there's a lot to discuss with Disney World. And I even said this in my predictions video that I felt like a bulk of the announcements or updates were going to be about Disney World, because Disney World has so many projects in the works. And yeah, a lot of the announcements were basically details about projects that we already knew about, and then also a couple of other announcements and reveals that we were anticipating and hoping that we would get. So we're going to start off with some of the updates that Disney shared about attractions that are being refreshed. The first one is Carousel of Progress. Now, it's currently closed and it's getting new decades, new scenes. Disney shared that Bryan Cranston and Jamie Lee Curtis will be voicing John, the father, and Sarah, the mother, in this updated Carousel of Progress. They also shared new artwork showing us the second scene that will be set during Halloween night in the 1980s. This updated attraction is going to start in the 1960s, and then we're going to move to the 1980s, and then 1999 into the new millennium, and then going to be a far off future. So we previously had received concept art for this far out future scene that they were going to have, and now we know what the 1980s scene is going to look like. What's interesting about this particular scene is that this one is going to feature Sarah more prominently than in the past attraction. And you can see here in the concept art, she's basically taking center stage. Now, this updated Carousel of Progress is set to open late spring 2027. So it's actually quite a quick turnaround. And of course, we're going to learn more about this attraction before it opens. And then another thing that Disney announced that wasn't really on my radar was that Spaceship Earth is getting an update. Now, Disney had previously announced that Spaceship Earth was getting a refresh, but this was several years ago, and then that never happened. So at the Experiences Showcase on Saturday, they shared that it's actually going to get an update this time around. Now, for this new update, the theme of Spaceship Earth is going to shift from human communication to human connection. But Disney said the reimagining will bring the attraction into the modern age with new magic for every scene. I don't know exactly what that means in terms of new magic. Disney didn't dive into details on that. So are they just going to be refreshing the scenes that are already there to kind of fit into this new theme? Or are they going to overhaul a lot of these scenes to give it new magic and to fit this theme? That wasn't quite clear. But of course, we'll probably learn more about that soon. They didn't give a timeline for when this was going to happen. But yeah, it looks like Spaceship Earth is going to get an update of some kind. Finally. So now we're going to head to Magic Kingdom and talk first about Villains Land. Now, I had predicted that Disney was going to share more updates about Villains Land, and they did. They delivered in that department. The big thing that we learned is the name for Villains Land, and it is going to be Villains Land. Now, I hinted at this in my predictions video because I said, they could name it something completely different. I said, or they could stick with the naming convention that is currently in Magic Kingdom, because you have Fantasyland and Adventureland and Tomorrowland. So why not just have Villains Land? And that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly the same explanation that Disney gave for naming it Villains Land. They're like, it fits with what we name our lands in Magic Kingdom. So there you go. Nothing complicated. It's Villains Land. We also learned the backstory for this land. And basically, we're going to be entering it through this dark forest with all these twisted, creepy looking trees. And then the whole idea for Villains Land is basically that a wishing well has been corrupted after an evil wish was made. And it has infused the forest around it with poison magic. And different characters, different villain characters that will be featured in this land, like Cruella, Dr. Facilier, and the Evil Queen, have created their own layers within the land from this cursed magic. Now, Disney didn't explain exactly what those layers meant. Is it going to be, meet and greet area for these characters, or is each character going to have their own like shop and restaurant or eatery, or just a corner in the land that's themed to them? Disney didn't say. We also got details on the two major attractions that are coming to Villains Land. So the first is the Maleficent themed roller coaster that's going to send riders racing through this enchanted briar around the Mistress of Evil's fortress. Now, again, I said in my predictions video, the concept art that was initially released for Villains Land showed a coaster of some kind, because you saw the tracks in the background, and it seemed that it was going to be themed to Maleficent because the Maleficent dragon was very prominent in the concept art, and it is. It's going to be a Maleficent roller coaster. So basically Disney confirmed what a lot of people had speculated. For this coaster, Imagineers said that it will feature elements that they've never used before. So that's really intriguing, has me excited, because I think Disney does a pretty good job with their coasters. And I'm really curious to see them, implement some kind of new technology or some new elements for this ride. Now, the second attraction is going to be a dark ride, and it's going to feature the Magic Mirror. And riders will be going through the catacombs of the Evil Queen's palace, and they'll come face to face with different villains that have been summoned from the Mirror Realm. So in the concept art that Disney shared on Saturday, it shows some of the different characters that we would likely see summoned from this Mirror Realm. The concept art also shows the ride vehicle that we would go through. We still don't know what kind of ride system this is going to use. Disney didn't share those details. But again, a lot of this stuff we're going to learn more about before it opens. So sticking with Magic Kingdom, we're going to talk about the other big project that is coming to this land, Piston Peak, which is the Cars themed land. Now, Disney shared new details about the two attractions that are going to be in this land. The first, the rally race, is going to be called Cars Ridge Run Rally, which is kind of a tongue twister. And Disney also shared more concept art showing different scenes along the ride. So there's going to be these snow-capped mountains when we're at the top of the attraction. And the Imagineers said that the snow is going to come to life at night. And then as riders make their way down from the mountain, there will be some bumps along the way. And they have concept art of that. And then there's going to be a geyser scene with the geysers racing riders along the way as they reach a big geyser called Old Tankful, which is a play on Old Faithful. And then the second attraction, the more family-friendly attraction that is going to be part of this land, is going to be called Miss Fritter's Daredevil Spin-Along. So this is a flat ride. It's going to feature a large animatronic of Miss Fritter. It's a character from Cars 3, and they shared concept art of that. Switching over to Hollywood Studios, we're going to talk about Monstropolis, which is the Monsters, Inc. themed land, and we got quite a few details about that. The first is Disney shared new footage of the Door roller coaster. They shared renderings of the loading area. And while they were showing these renderings, the Imagineers said that riders will be lifted 40 feet in the air in 4 seconds before they're launched into the warehouse and into the rest of the attraction, which sounds really exciting. Imagineers also shared more details about other parts of the land. So we learned more about the Globe Theater, which is the attraction that's replacing Muppet Vision 3D. Now, we already knew about this, but we didn't know exactly what the show was going to be or what it's going to be called. It's going to be called Welcome to Monstropolis. And we got some concept art of the show showing some animatronic figures. Disney didn't share details about exactly what this show is going to be, but the concept art does give us a better idea. Disney also shared other locations within Monstropolis, including Archie's Scare Pig Pizza, which replaces Pizza Rizzo. And there's also going to be a gift shop called the Scareporium, and something called Monsters University Alumni Club. And then Disney also confirmed Harryhausen's restaurant. And when they confirmed this, they showed off a new animatronic of the sushi chef from Monsters, Inc. that will be featured in the restaurant. And this is a large-scale, fully functioning animatronic. Now, in my predictions video, I said that construction on Monstropolis was progressing really well and that Disney would probably announce an opening timeline for this land, and it could be sooner than a lot of people expected. And that's pretty much the case. Monstropolis is going to open in 2027, but only part of it. It's going to open in phases. So basically the Globe Theater show, the restaurants, the gift shops, and all of that will open in 2027, and the door coaster will be opening at a later date. So switching over to Disney's Animal Kingdom, we're going to talk about Tropical Americas, and we learned quite a bit about this land, including the name of the Encanto attraction. So it's going to be called Antonio's Fiesta de Encanto, and it's going to focus on the day Antonio receives his gift of talking to animals. So we got new concept art showing the ride vehicle going up the stairs of the casita. This is the house from Encanto. And Disney also had a model of the ride vehicle on display in the Imagineering Pavilion, giving us a better idea of what the ride vehicle is going to look like. And Disney also shared that the attraction will feature 50 animatronic animals throughout it. And they shared, a preview of some of the animatronics that they're working on. Another thing that Disney shared about this attraction is that it's not going to have a height requirement, which means visitors of all ages will be able to enjoy it. And sticking with Tropical Americas, we're going to talk about the other attraction that's going to be part of this land. That's the Indiana Jones attraction. And we learned the name of this one. It's going to be called Indiana Jones and the Myth of the Jade Serpent, which of course, as we know, Indiana Jones does not like snakes, and this one is going to have a very big snake as part of it. So the storyline for this attraction is that it's set in the 1950s, and Indiana Jones is exploring this mysterious Mayan temple in search of an ancient artifact, and riders will get pulled into this underworld that's guarded by a large snake. And Disney shared some concept art of this large serpent that will be featured in the attraction. And Disney also shared that riders will encounter bats, scorpions, fire, and of course, snakes as they make their way through this underworld. Harrison Ford also appeared in a video message during the presentation to share that he will be the model used for the Indiana Jones animatronics featured in the attraction, and they shared a rendering of Ford's face. And the Disney Imagineers also emphasized that the attraction will showcase Maya culture and that it was working with experts to get the details right. Now, the Tropical Americas land is also going to have a carousel, and Disney had previously said that the animal figures that will be featured on the carousel will be, hand carved. But they finally revealed what the animals will be on this carousel. So there are going to be 22 animal characters that are featured. They're all Disney characters of some kind. And Disney shared, concept art showing those animal characters. All right, so now I'm going to briefly talk about some of the surprises that were shared during the presentation. Now, in my predictions video, I said I thought that Disneyland would get a big surprise and Disney World would get a big surprise. And that's kind of what happened. Disneyland got a big surprise and Disney World got two. So we're going to start with Disneyland. Disneyland's big surprise was that Tomorrowland is getting reimagined. Now, this is something that fans have wanted, but Disney finally said, yes, we're doing this. They didn't give a timeline for this. They just said soon. It's going to happen soon. And they didn't say how Tomorrowland was going to be reimagined, but it's happening. It's a project that is in the works. Disney is making it happen. So Tomorrowland at Disneyland is going to look very different in the years to come. Now, as far as the surprises for Disney World, a big one was that the Yeti is getting fixed. So yes, Disney announced that at long last, they're going to fix the Yeti in Expedition Everest. So we're finally going to get a chance to say goodbye to Disco Yeti. And this was a big surprise because this is one of those things that fans have been asking for years. But Disco Yeti will be no more, it seems like, because Disney is devoting time, energy, and resources to restoring the Yeti, updating it, and making it a fully working animatronic. And I'm very excited about this because Expedition Everest is one of my favorite attractions. I think that Yeti element is really cool, and the fact that they're actually going to have this animatronic working again makes me really excited. The other big surprise that was announced towards the end of the presentation was that Journey into Imagination with Figment is getting updated. Dreamfinder is coming back. And to help make this announcement, Neil Patrick Harris appeared on stage dressed as Dreamfinder with his own Figment. There were no details shared about this at all. No timeline, no details, nothing. It was just, yes, Journey into Imagination is getting Dreamfinder back, and that was it. But, again, this is something that fans have been asking for, have been wanting, and Disney's going to do it. All right, before I wrap things up, we're going to talk about Disney Cruise Line. Not a ton of things were announced for the cruise line, but Disney did mention the new class of ships that are coming to the cruise line, which are going to be bigger than the Magic class, but smaller than the Wish class. We also got a few details about the Disney Believe, which is the upcoming ship. This is the 4th Wish class ship. So Tinkerbell is going to be featured on the bow of the ship, while Woody and Buzz are going to be on the stern. And then they also revealed that Moana will be the statue featured in the atrium or the Grand Hall of the Believe. And of course, I wasn't expecting a ton of details about the Disney Believe because Disney had previously said that they were going to do a big reveal for the ship in October. And one final thing I want to mention is that Disney announced that the Imagineering story is getting a second season and new episodes will be released in 2028. So Leslie Iwerks, who did the Imagineering story the first season, has returned, and she was given more access, to Imagineers and the projects that they're working on. And so the new season is going to give us more insights and behind the scenes look at the things that Disney is working on. So there you have it. That was what was announced for Disney's theme park projects around the world at D23. And like I said, it was a big weekend for theme park fans. Most of the presentation was Disney sharing additional details about projects that we already knew about, but Disney did share some new details, and they still had a few surprises up their sleeve, which was nice. It kept things interesting for all of us who were attending and all those who were watching the presentation, which was streamed on Disney+. So I want to know what you think about the presentation. I want to know what you think about the upcoming projects, about the details that Disney shared this past weekend. Jump into the comments and let me know. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I'll be posting more theme park coverage in the coming weeks and months, and you don't want to miss it.